Hi, welcome to another special edition of the NWI.com Political Roundtable. I'm Doug Ross, editorial page editor at the Times Media Company, here with Libertarian candidate for governor, Rupert Boneham.
Yes.
How did your stint on Survivor kind of affect your run for governor?
You know, it's funny that when I went out and played Survivor, I was playing Survivor with a group of people that were encouraged to be connivers, that were encouraged to lie, cheat, steal, do whatever it takes to make it to the end. It was an experience that I will always remember, and I've played the darn game 3 times. But being able to win the game without being the best liar or the best conniver, but winning the game more because of the way I played. Being able to show, the public out there that no matter how much money is put in front of me, I'm not selling my soul. I'm not, I am not that person that will lie, cheat, and steal just to make it to the end. I like using Survivor as that test to say, I've been tested. I stood up for myself and my team. And even when Survivor gave me the $1 million, we didn't run. We stayed in our community. I empowered my family and my community, and we continued on with our life. Survivor was a great testing period for me to see what I really would do with money. I knew exactly what I would do. Money does not control me. I control money.
Well, that's a good position to be in. Let's talk about how that influences your kind of philosophy of government and what kind of changes you would like to bring.
Leading by example, electing officials that are willing to give back to their community, not to serve their own pocket or to serve only their constituents, to serve only their dollars, but to help us all. I want to be that elected official that has no aspirations of being a career politician. I would like to go out, have 1 or, if willing, 2 terms, empower Indiana, show how we give back to our state, lead by example, and give back to our community, create empowerment programs instead of punishment.
Address that. You've gone through an empowerment program that you've been working. Why don't you explain how that works and how that might be adapted elsewhere in Indiana?
When we lock everyone up that's breaking the law, whether they're hurting themselves or hurting others, and we throw them all in the same jail cell, and we put first-time offenders, nonviolent offenders in jail cells with violent offenders, that creates a jail cell of violent offenders. You have to fight in jail. When we are throwing all our problems into detention center and taking their ability away to make a legal living, with some of them never giving them the chance, society failing them and never teaching them how to even make the legal living, some of them never even teaching them how to read and write, how to take care of themselves. When we turn that corner and start empowering our world, just like in our entitlement programs, creating empowerment out of our entitlement. Don't pay somebody to sit there and do nothing. If they want government dollars, they're going to get up and take care of themselves and their community and pay them. Be able to go out and be that governor that has new ideas, common sense ideas, and ideas that have been working in the private sector for 20 plus years in one of our harder environments in Indianapolis, in the inner cities. If they work there, they'll work throughout the state of Indiana. Empowerment is always a solution.
You talked about earlier, before we started recording, about your impressions when you first visited Gary, and since then, and how you might address those issues.
Well, my first time of visiting Gary was with my father many years ago. He taught at IU at Kokomo and was a geologist, so of course we came up here. He loved the geology of the area, But over the years, watching, and then just a few years ago when we drove through, as I was starting the campaign trail, and I realized 80% of the darn businesses, I don't know, but it seemed like 80, 90% of the businesses are closed up, are boarded up, are vacant, are struggling with just keeping the crime rate down in these abandoned properties, just keeping a sense of not even the sense of the future, but just a sense of it's okay today, is almost impossible in an environment like that. What I see we need to do is, the same thing that I've said for years, empowerment. If we start working with our schools and using some of these abandoned properties as workshops for the small engine repair, the carpenters or the mason's shop, the electricians or the plumber's shop. If we started using some of these properties as community centers, put it right next to the police station, and we work on the fire station that's just down the road that's falling down. What I want to do for Indiana is be that leader that steps up and shows I'm willing to roll my sleeves up and go to work. And I want everybody else to also. Anybody that's willing should be able to go to work. And anyone that wants to help their community, instead of just looking to the government to solve all our problems, we start working on our problems on our own.
Okay, fair enough. We've talked about roads and bridges and how to start putting more effort into rebuilding them.
Right.
Well, dollars, exactly. Well, and effort.
Yes.
So how do you, Roman days, the bridges lasted, some of them, some of the Roman structures are still around.
Still here.
How do we get back to...
We are building, roads and bridges. Our bridges right now, a lot of them had a 30-year lifespan. They've far exceeded that. You drive under some of these bridges and you see the rust eating through these I-beams that it's not going to be long before we have a bridge collapse in this state. If we don't do something, our infrastructure is struggling right now. In the private sector work environment, you build things to last. Sometimes in our government, we just build things to build them and don't worry about how long they last. If we started making I-beams a little thicker, if we started making the base concrete pad of the roads 6 inches thicker, we would give life to our roads that we've never heard of before. We would extend our roads and bridges by decades. We better start seeing the value in that. And we better start restructuring some of our dollars. Some of our federal and state dollars that we are given for our roads and bridges are fuel tax that is supposed to go for our roads and bridges. Every penny better be going for that. One of the things that I will do as governor is go through line by line every dollar that we are collecting and every dollar that we are spending and making sure they are going for where we say they are going.
Okay, that's a pretty tall order.
Yes. I know that it's not going to be the easiest of times to go through hundreds of agencies, 300 plus agencies, and go line by line through their budget. But it's something we better do. It's something just like our roads and our bridges. If we don't see the value in empowerment, in creating and continuing to maintain the crossroads of America, I sure would hate to lose that title. I want to keep our roads open. I want to keep our bridges safe.
Okay. We have time for one last question. If you are elected governor of Indiana, you would be governor during the state's bicentennial in 2016. So what legacy would you want to leave as the bicentennial governor?
That would be a very fitting time to bring us back to a little more of a constitutional state, back to a little more of a state where we have our freedoms and we are not creating a government that wants to be our moral compass, but wants to protect us from others or from attack, keep our roads and bridges open and safe, and keep our schools open and educate our children. And that be the focus on our state. Creating an environment where we can all start our own businesses, have our own family, have our own lives, have our own world, and have our freedoms. Backing the government out of our world a little bit and empowering us all, creating a more fair and level playing field for every business, and not just throwing our young people away that are not fitting into society, but helping them, and not resting the economy on the backs of our small business men and women, but making everyone pay their fair share. That's what I would love to see, is be able to give Indiana back, a little strength to last for another 200 years.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, Rupert Boneham, Libertarian candidate for governor, thank you.
Yes.
And thank you for viewing.